Well, this lesson is all about bonding, and we're going to look at different types of bonding. We'll go beyond that and look at how the bonding affects the properties of the molecules and the shapes of the molecules. And we are looking at both molecular compounds and ionic compounds. But a chemical bond is whatever is in here that holds those two atoms together. So let's see. So a bond is a force that holds the two atoms together. Why do they form bonds? Atoms form bonds in order to obtain a lower energy state. That means they are more stable. And sometimes we say that they're going for a noble gas configuration. The number of valence electrons are normally 8. So they want to get 8. That's their most stable. Except for hydrogen and helium, those small atoms can only have 2 because they only have the first energy level. And note, there are exceptions, and we will see some of these atoms that can have more than 8. Sometimes that is stable as well. So their goal is to have 8 valence electrons. Valence electrons are the ones on the outside of the atom. And you'll remember before we learned trends. We could look at the electron structure from the periodic table. And if we wanted to say how many valence electrons, say all of these have, these all have 1 electron in the s. So these have 1 valence electron. All of these have 2. And then this is B where we have 3. And then it just goes over from there. And this is important when we start drawing the Lewis dot structures and how the molecules are coming together. You'll need to look on your periodic table to know how many valence electrons does fluorine have, and so you'll be using that trend. Okay, just a reminder about the types of bonds that we have in compounds. There are 2 main types. In an ionic bond, electrons are transferred. This occurs if you have a metal combining with a non-metal, as we learned when we were doing chemical formulas and stuff. A metal and a non-metal, or if there's a polyatomic ion, it's an ionic bond. The other kind of bond is a covalent bond, and we always called these covalent compounds. These are the compounds that we called molecular compounds. And these, the electrons are shared. Covalent bonds occur when you have 2 nonmetals coming together. And we said that about molecular compounds. We're going to spend most of our time talking about the molecular compounds because they are actually more common. So a reminder about what a molecular compound is versus an ionic compound. A molecular compound, they have the covalent bonds with the sharing. And you have individual molecules. This group is separate from that group. Now, we may learn a little later that there can be an attraction in there, but that attraction is much weaker than the attractions that hold these molecules to each other, these atoms to each other. There may be partial charges on these. We usually think of charges as being with ionic compounds, but sometimes we'll have slight positive and negative charges on these that make them attracted to each other. Again, it's just partial slight charges. And of course, nonmetals only, we already said that. Ionic compounds are the ones that are in a crystal where you have positive and negative ions that are attracted together to each other. And these attractions are really strong because instead of having partial charges, these have what we say full charges. In other words, like +1 and -1. When I drew these over here with the little, there are 2 ways to draw it, like that, it means a partial negative charge, or you could do it like that. Those are not nearly a full +1 or something. So that's what we mean by full charges. They've actually lost or gained an electron. Okay, and then of course these are you have ionic compounds with a metal and a non-metal. Okay, a property of elements that we're going to be using when we talk about the kind of bonding is called electronegativity. Electronegativity is attraction to electrons, is an easy way to say that. How much pull an atom has on its electrons. And a lot of times we talk about it in terms of pull for electrons that are shared, but you can think about it just in general, that it's pull for electrons. In an ionic bond, they have a large difference in electronegativity. In other words, a large difference in how much they hold on to their electrons. Nonmetals tend to have a really high electronegativity, and metals tend to have a low. And because there's that big difference of pull for electrons, they will just transfer. The metal has a weak attraction for its electrons, so it will just give electrons to the nonmetal. That's what happens. Covalent bond, the nonmetals both have strong attractions to the electrons, so they don't transfer, they just share them. And then there are two subtypes of covalent bonds, depending on if they are shared equally or unequally. And so what that means is, well, actually we'll talk about that a little bit later, but it just means if the two electrons are spending more, that are being shared, or spending more time with one atom than the other. So anyway, we'll look at some polar bonds here in a little bit. Okay, so the other trend we need to know is electronegativity increases up and to the right. On the periodic table, so this way and this way. And so this is fluorine right here. There are actually numbers that are assigned for electronegativity, and fluorine has the highest number. It has the most pull for electrons. We don't usually talk about electronegativity with these noble gases because the noble gases we don't usually think of them forming bonds. But anyway, so up and to the right, so nonmetals have a high electronegativity and metals have a low.